Your emotion is not the problem. The problem comes in your judgment of the emotion that you are experiencing. It's not the emotion itself, it's your resistance and your judgment of self for feeling that emotion. That's what creates that ickiness and resistance and restriction and that that tensity. That is what creates that tensity, is your perspective, your perception of that emotion, your judgment of that emotion. You making that judgment bad, you making it wrong that you are experiencing that emotion. The emotion itself is just an experience. Realistically, even though I know that emotions can be so heavy and so overwhelming and so intense and insane, I get it. I've been there so many times. I'm totally there with you. But in actuality, an emotion is just an experience that the body feels. It's just sensations and movement of energy that the body feels, that you experience. And so imagine having an emotion come up and then a bunch of judgment or shame or guilt or embarrassment or whatever is piled onto that already intense emotion. Then it gets intensified, right? So the emotion itself can be very overwhelming, right? But emotions are so much easier to work through when we are accepting, totally accepting and loving towards ourselves regardless. And I know I've definitely been there where I feel an emotion like grief or jealousy or unworthiness. You know, I sometimes attach an annoyance to it or a frustration because I'm like, oh my gosh, this again? Like, really? This wound coming back up, this trigger coming back up? Like, I get annoyed, which is a form of rejection, self-rejection. And by being annoyed and frustrated and trying to push the emotion away, I actually intensify the emotion and make it linger longer, make it alive longer, make it live inside of my body longer because I'm trying to push it. And as they say, what you resist persists, persists. And it's so true. And so the opposite of resistance is acceptance. Accepting it. Like, yes, okay, I'm feeling unworthy for the 20th time this month. Yeah, that could be annoying, but there's a part of me feeling that needs acknowledgement. And if you think about it, like a little version of you internally, a wounded part of you internally that's communicating to you through these emotions, through these sensations. You know, like imagine a little version of you just being like, hey, like I need some love. I need some acknowledgement. I need you to tell me things are going to be okay. Like I need something from you. And they're trying to reach out to you. But you're just like, oh, you're so annoying. Like, can you go away? Can you go away? You're so annoying. I'm trying to push you away. I'm trying to resist you. And so then that little girl inside, she can't resolve what's going on. She can't heal. She can't let go because she hasn't been acknowledged. And so I see these triggers, these emotions that come up. Some of them, not every single emotion that comes up, but there are some specific emotions that do come up. I'm like, oh, that's my little girl. That's an old wound, and my little girl needs something from me right now. And so when I frame it in that sense, it allows me more compassion and more space for patience with that emotion. So instead of, rejecting it, pushing it away, calling it annoying, embracing it, asking what it needs. It helps to talk to yourself when working through an emotion. Often when I do feel an emotion come up and I know it's an old wound from my old little inner girl, I'll talk with her. I'll talk with that wound as if I'm talking with my little girl inside who didn't get the acknowledgement or nurturance or safety back in the day. And I will speak with her like, yeah, oh my gosh, I know you feel so anxious right now because this is like a huge deal. And like, of course you're afraid. And of course you would, I don't know, feel this or that. Like, absolutely feel that. Like, this is so valid. This emotion is so valid. And that always helps. Like, saying the emotion you're feeling is so valid. It's so valid. Yes, you're jealous of that girl because she's doing that, or you're jealous of this, or you're upset because that happened. Like, absolutely, that is so valid. And having these emotions means nothing about you. You're human having human emotions, having a human experience. And so allowing that space for yourself to just feel without judgment or shame or rejection, that's when energy can begin to flow and move, and emotion can begin working through you. And so it's not harbored. You're not harboring it because you're not resisting it anymore. You're succumbing to it. You're allowing it. You're allowing it in, and you're acknowledging it. And then next steps could be asking yourself what you need. Maybe you need to text a friend or call a family member. Maybe you need a good laugh. Maybe you need a good cry. Maybe you want to cook. Yesterday, I was like working through something and I was like, what do you want to do? You want to just cook? Okay, let's just chop up some stuff. I'm like, let's just cook a little bit. And I was like, okay, let's just sit here and chop. Let's just chop these peppers and let's just cook right now. So this whole moving into wholeness and coming home to yourself and acknowledging yourself, loving yourself, this healing work, it's so much of being your parent and your younger self, being both versions of you now and attending to each other. Because sometimes your inner child is going to have so much information for your adult self and like inspiration, things like that. And your inner child is going to help your adult self in some ways. And vice versa, like our inner child that's wounded, they need us to help them grow. And so this balance, this dance between adult and child version, and just weaving together love and acceptance and nurturance, really, between the both. But going back to emotions being but an experience, and our judgment on the emotions is what makes it so much harder to move through. And the more you nurture yourself, the more you acknowledge and accept that you're human and you're going to feel all the things and it's okay. It means nothing wrong about you. It means nothing bad about you. Just being completely non-judgmental toward yourself. The more you do that, the less intense the emotions that you've been harboring are going to be, and the more fluid and natural emotions can begin to start flowing. And it's a practice, right? So it might be really tough in the beginning to accept yourself or accept emotions or you feeling emotion. But the more practice you do, the more you acknowledge yourself, accept yourself, love yourself, and show compassion to yourself, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And the better you're going to become with dealing with emotion and working and flowing with emotion. So learn to ride the wave. But in order to learn to ride, you got to start swimming. You got to start somewhere. I hope this resonated with you. If it did, give me a like. And if you need more assistance in this journey to self-acceptance and coming home to yourself and loving yourself, trusting yourself, I created a workbook called the Self-Abandonment Audit, which you can find in the description box below. And it's essentially a beautiful workbook with so many juicy prompts that are going to help bring out more awareness around where you are abandoning yourself and where you may need more love and acceptance, where you may need more boundaries in your life, and where in your life you may need to love yourself a little bit harder and deeper. So if you're interested in that, like I said, link is in the description box below. And as always, be gentle with yourself.